Okay. All right, call meeting to order. Roll call.
Crow. Present. Sure.
Here.
Zumwalt.
Here.
Alt.
Here.
Hasbargen.
Here.
Barron.
Yep. Any public comments? Seeing none.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda, move the boiler update up right after public comments.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
You were in favor, are you?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff you're gonna miss. I know.
Okay. I guess you're up.
Well, I'm John Fleming. This is Nathan Alderman. We're here to talk about the boiler replacement project. We got some drawings for you. We sent you a set earlier, and you guys had some comments. We picked those comments up. Most of them to the front end part of the specs for the bidding section. There wasn't a lot of technical comments, so we're here again to show you our final set of drawings. We think we sent them to you a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at them or had any other comments. Otherwise, we picked up all the comments that you had before, and there's a couple things we need to fill out as far as like a pre-bid meeting date and bid date and a pre-bid meeting date. So I don't know if that's something you need to give your decide now or tell us later. We'll fill in the specs and we'll get then we can get these out for bids for you. It's just a boiler replacement. We're just taking the old boiler out and putting in 3 modular high-efficiency boilers for you, so you'll have better efficiency and redundancy. So if one boiler is down, you still have the other 2 to provide heat to the building. So should get you by for the next 30 years.
Is that all?
Well, they usually go out to 50, but by the time the next board decides it's time to replace the boiler, so we'll get you by for another generation.
We have to change something where the gas comes in and the flow's too great. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The meter can be changed if we reduce the usage enough, I think. Right? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
Smaller meter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've got lots of gas coming in, way more than we need. Is that going to save us? Will there be a savings with that?
Well, you'll use less gas, so that'll be a savings. But as far as the meter, usually the utility company would change that out for you, not your contractor.
I understand, but I'm just asking you the technical question about a dollar saving.
You did to check with you'll use less gas, which would be less money. But I don't know if you had to make it. I don't know if you had to put a smaller meter in.
Well,
we'll regulate the gas pressure down to what we need.
Right. Well, if we go with a smaller meter, it's my understanding that then they always
There's a smaller
charge-
flat rate for a smaller
right,
meter.
Yeah. So we would have that savings. I'm not sure how much.
Yeah, I don't know if the utility company might need to see like 1 year's of usage, and if it's smaller, they might give you a smaller meter then.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure what all the right words were.
Do you want us to call your utility company and follow up on that one for you? If we have your account number, we can call up and find out, or if that's something you guys want to do on your own later.
We can probably do that, or have whoever gets the bid follow up on that.
With the utility company? Okay.
Yeah. That way, if there is anything that has to be done, they can coordinate.
All right.
with it.
Well, if you want the low bidder, or if you want the bidders to do that, we'll add a note in there for them to contact the utility company. We'll have them get a hold of you guys to find out, the utility company will need your account number, and a lot of times they need your permission before an outsider can get your information too, so they'll need to know who the account manager is, and they'll get an okay before they allow you to get access to their information. So we can put a note in there for them to do that.
You mentioned before about the comments that you got from us.
Mhm.
What's the response to that?
All the ones that you had, I don't remember what they were right now, but most of them, 90% of them were up front, changing out the wording in the front-end documents for the bidders.
It was that list.
Kind
you gave.
of not legal stuff, but more just administrative type stuff, with
Yeah.
prevailing wage and those kind of things, making sure it's all worded correctly.
Well, I think there was some questions too, for example, as to how many times you people were going to be up here and how the whole process was going to work once the project was underway, because the way the initial specifications were put together, it sounded like you were going to be spending quite a bit of time with the contractor during the course of the work.
Yeah, the amount of time we'll be up here is in our proposal letter. I didn't bring a copy of that with us, but usually we're up here a couple times. This project will probably take a couple months. We'll probably be up here once a month, checking the progress of the contractor's work, and then we'll be here at the end of the project, and we'll walk through, check off everything, make sure that everything that we put on the drawings got installed properly. So I'm guessing there's probably 3 site visits for us up here during construction.
I think that's about how many we plan for in the proposal.
Yeah, we'll be here for the pre-bid, we'll be here for the pre-construction, and then probably a couple visits while they're doing it, and then the final, so maybe 5 visits, something like that. Is this? Yeah.
2 site visits and a punch list.
And then a final site visit. That's during construction. But if they got a question about something that we can't answer on the phone, it's no problem for us to drive up here and we're not going to leave you hanging as far as not getting an answer. If the contractor has a question we can't answer on the phone.
Well, part of my concern
We'll
too
drive.
is that I think your initial proposal was for 4 visits, and then I thought, well, didn't we decide on 2?
That's,
And
yeah,
so
that's
now,
one
the way
of
this is
approved.
written, you're up to 5. I'm curious how all that's factored in. Are the other 3 visits at no charge, or how are you
Well,
handling
like the
that?
pre-bid meeting and that's something that's besides what's specified.
That was 2 site visits and punch list during construction administration. Now, would the pre-bid be listed here?
I don't see that we have one in here. So this one's- Yeah, we had 2 site visits during the construction and 1 at the end for substantial completion. We didn't have any kind of visit here for pre-bid, I guess. But like I said, we're not
This was
going to
the
nickel and
original-
dime you on that. If you need us
Yeah,
up here
that was the original
for something.
plan.
What was it before? Yeah, I think we took a couple visits out just to reduce our fee by a couple $1,000s, make it more.
Right, and that's, I guess my question is,
Trade-offs.
where are we at with all that? So that-
Well, as it is up for now, we'd be here twice during construction and once at the final, when they're finally done. Because our fee originally was $11,500 and we reduced it down to $9,500, so we can't really reduce the quality of the design. How we can reduce our fee is just make less trips up here.
Well, you know, our situation is we got to try and control the cost as best we can, but I want to know for sure how many times you're going to be here, because I think your attendance at the pre-bid meeting is very important. It's not essential. And then the same thing with the pre-construction meeting.
He can just send Nathan. Nathan doesn't cost much.
Apparently. Yeah, that
I
is.
guess I'm looking to get that part of it clarified so that all of us know what to expect in terms of your service as well as what our
Well, I mean, we
costs
took out 2 trips we took out a couple trips to reduce our fee down, so
Right.
are you saying you want us here anyway for those meetings?
Well,
And would
I
that
think
be
he's wanting to know
Here's the pre-bid.
if those were some of the meetings that were included, or what was it that was...
I think what we took out is originally we had 4 total visits for construction coordination meetings and conduct inspections, and then 1 final visit. So we had 5 visits before, and then we reduced it down to 3 total visits. you're asking us to come back extra visits, we can do that on, if you want us to do that on a time and material basis and just some hours for Nathan to drive here and
Well,
be here an hour and back, or that's something,
the pre-bid meeting would count as a visit. Yes, that's what we're,
Yeah.
that's what he's wanting to know.
okay.
I mean, you
The
never
construction
know.
should go pretty smooth. All they're doing is taking the water out and putting in 3. It's not like a lot of extra piping.
I
so
understand, but you never know.
If we need to come up for more meetings, that's something we'll need, we need your permission for, we can come up here and do that.
What would be the time involved, the rate, if we needed you on a time and materials basis? What's your rate?
If I
Is it in there?
didn't send you a rate sheet, I can. Was that a part of the attachment?
Doesn't seem we've got a rate sheet here.
I don't remember.
It's
seeing
attached
them
to the
on it.
proposal, I'm sorry. I can find that and look at it.
I don't think it was.
If it wasn't, then I can send you one.
Well, couldn't we initially take out move the 2 visits during construction and have that as a pre-bid and pre-construction meeting? Because we're going to have a final, and if we need them in the meantime, during construction, then we can get them on a time and material basis.
Well, now, you got pre-bid meeting, but the actual bid,
Bid opening?
yeah, is that something?
We wouldn't have to be necessarily present for that. You're just going to open them up and
Yeah.
you're going to take the low bidder that you feel comfortable with.
I think that the pre-bid meeting and the pre-construction meeting is when questions may come up that we wouldn't be able to answer.
Okay.
And would be my concern there, and I think like Adam said, that the final walkthrough would be essential
Right.
as well. I would think that
If we can keep it down to those 3 trips,
during the interim, if there are questions that would arise, if we're able to call you
right.
on the telephone and try to resolve it that way, maybe that'd be the
Yeah,
right way to do it.
we'll give you your 3 trips, and if it's better to be pre-construction, pre-bid, pre-construction, final, then that's what we'll do, that's fine. It doesn't matter when.
Well, I mean, do you think those are the 3 most important meetings?
Yeah, those would be good ones to be attending to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree, that's fine.
Okay. Well, like I said, I wanted to make sure all of us clearly understand
Sure.
what we're
Yeah,
doing.
so we'll
That's good.
plan on being here for the pre-bid, pre-construction, and the final, and if something comes up in the meantime, we'll get an okay from you before we can come up here. We'll get you our rate sheet.
Fax number, or you can email it if you have an email address.
Okay, I think I've got your email address, but I'll write this on the Tom system.
Yeah. Send it to that, and send it attention, Amanda. Because it doesn't go to their office, so then the office goes, will know who to bring it
Okay.
to. Okay, so we were at when to have the pre-bid meeting.
Yeah, we just need to fill out the rest of the front-end specifications, so we have, is there a good,
How soon can we do it? That's going to be, because we need the project done
sooner than later?
right, because there is a deadline.
Okay.
What's the deadline?
Deadline is September 30th,
Okay.
that it has to be complete.
Okay.
Oh, we're ready.
Is that some of the documents too, that substantial completion September? 30th?
Let's see, I don't think it is, but that's easy to add.
Okay.
I can add that. That's September 30th.
And that means
So we
final inspection, everything.
Do we want them to be done like by the 15th or even sooner than that? So, yeah.
September 1st.
Because final payments have to be in and submitted. The grant ends September 30th.
Okay.
So we're not going to get paid from the state after that. So we need everything in the state before that.
And I have that, but if your final inspection reveals some things
Correct,
that
we
need
need
to be
some time,
corrected, you
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
allow for that.
That's what makes sense.
Realistically,
September 1st is a Tuesday, you want to make it August 31st, that's a Monday, or something like that, or the
when's
Friday
Labor
before?
Day?
Labor Day is the 7th of September.
Okay.
How about we make it August 31st, that's a Monday,
Okay.
then that gives everyone a month to, we can come in and inspect on that Monday or that Tuesday the 1st and give them our punch list and they can get things fixed before the end of the month, if there's anything we need. That sound okay?
Sure.
All right.
I'm just thinking what my schedule is right about then.
Disney World or something, or?
Not quite.
How long do we anticipate it's gonna take to get the work done?
We did the same project out at the State University's retirement system building in Champaign, and it was about 2 months, 2.5 months from, let's see, they had 4 weeks, that was from when they started installing the boilers to when they were out, everything was closed and finished. And there was also a 4-week lead time on the boilers. So I'd say right around 3.5 months,
Right.
you'd be in and out from bid award to
It's done now.
done.
So that means we have to award the bids by the middle of May.
Yeah.
Doesn't give us much time.
We can have these drawings out for you whenever you need them. I've got a few changes to make once we decide on the bid date, pre-bid date, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, do you want them to, like, you want to give them 2 weeks to bid, or do you have a time frame for that too? I mean, we're
Usually
kind of getting ahead of
2 weeks.
ourselves, but 2 weeks? I mean, we could easily have these out, ready for bid, into this week, or like Monday or something. Do you want to pick the 13th, or?
Let's do it. Let's get going.
Okay.
ASAP.
Okay. So we'll send them out for bid starting, I could do it this Friday,
You want to do this Friday? Okay. So the 10th?
Friday the 10th.
So can we have all our bid stuff ready to just get published then and get going?
Now, are you guys doing the publishing, or are you sending stuff that we need to publish?
We,
I wasn't sure how
What works best
how
for
it
you
was
guys?
worded.
I mean, if you want us to send you the wording and you advertise it locally in the paper, is that how you have to do it?
Yeah.
typically alongside that, we just like to send out an email to different contractors that we work with in the past, that we have done these projects with. We'll just let them know, hey, we've got this project out, here's how you can get a set of the drawings.
Yeah, we want
We
you
like
guys
to
to get as many
advertise
bids
ourselves
as
as well.
possible for the best price.
Right. Okay, yeah, send us the specs, and if you want to send emails, that's great.
Okay.
So what you're saying, Lyle, is we're going to go ahead and take care of our local bidding ourselves, our local publication?
All the bids are going to come to us,
Well, yes, I know.
but we're going to publish, yes.
Okay. And they're going to send to contractors that they
Yeah.
know to make them aware?
Yeah, if you have other contractors you know that would be, likely candidates in the area, let us know and we'll contact. I don't know if you guys as a board can contact them. That's might be is that a
We
policy
can
issue?
encourage them to bid.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to guarantee them.
Well, sure, but I didn't know if it came from the board, and if you picked four and you forgot the fifth guy might say, well, you never contacted me, so it might, I don't know if there's like a,
It's going to be published,
okay.
so it,
We
yeah.
won't be contacting anyone individually, I don't think.
Well, I mean, it's, if any of you have a guy that you work with and want them to bid, tell them.
Yeah, you got our cards, you can always email Nathan and say,
I mean, send me their contact information
right,
and I can.
if it comes from us, it might be a little bit cleaner than if it, you don't want to look like favoritism from the board on certain contracts.
Whoops.
Yeah, contact Nathan, and if you know somebody that
Thank you.
you get the likely candidates to bid on this, we'll make sure that they know what's coming, so they'll be looking for it.
So either way, we gotta have the bid opening at our next meeting.
Yeah.
And,
When is that?
May.
Okay, so if we get it out on the 10th, this Friday, and you're going to give them 2 weeks, that means you'll receive the bid back in here on the 24th of April. And then when's your next meeting? Is it the 4th of May? That gives you a whole week to look at the bids before you make a decision.
So why don't you have them, give them until May 1st,
Okay.
that's that Friday before, bid
Okay.
opening May 4th, Monday, 9 o'clock, this meeting, back it up. But don't you usually wait to get the full board
Right.
approval before you publish for bid? So that would be the 14th of this month, which still gives you your 2 weeks. If the full board approval
Oh.
is the 14th,
Yeah.
you'll still have 2.5 weeks to May 1st. See
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll,
So if the board doesn't approve it, then it's not legal.
The board has to approve it first, on the 14th,
Yes.
and then you'll notify us. Then, so you want it in the, are we gonna go out for bid like the 15th then,
Sure.
the next day? Is
The
that,
meeting will be done by noon. I'll let you know the 14th then.
okay.
We're talking about April?
Yes,
Yes.
at next week's board meeting.
But when the board approves it, then you gotta contact your local paper and get it in the paper on the
Right.
15th.
So if you have the specs to us, we can have it all ready to go. So basically, you got a week to get all that to us, so we're ready to go and you're ready to go.
Now, do we need to set a date now for this other meeting?
Yeah,
yeah, I need to be able to include that in the documents. So if we can set that here, that would be ideal.
So this will go out to bid on the 15th, the day after your board meeting, after they approve it. And then we're gonna give them till May 1st to get their bids in. So they're gonna have from April 15th to May 1st to bid on it. That's 2 weeks and 2 days. That's fine. Okay? Just making sure.
May 1st at what time?
By,
5 o'clock, 4:30. 4:30 is when it closes.
At 4:30. We usually say 4 though. and
Yeah, I was just to make it
we're
earlier.
in county clerk's office by 4 p.m.
yeah. Okay, and then you guys will open them up, at this meeting
Yeah.
on the 4th, okay?
So
The
when,
full county board will approve it on the 12th, and after that, we're ready to award.
So you'll open up on the 4th, and then they'll get approval on the 12th, so you anticipate the bid will be awarded by, on that May 12th, or like the next day, the May 13th?
the 12th.
The 12th?
It'll be approved on the 12th,
It'll be
either
approved
approved or declined.
Okay, so
And if it's
approval
declined,
will be on the 12th, okay.
Okay, with that time schedule, then when does the pre-bid meeting need to happen?
I think ideally halfway between the issue date and the bid deadline. It gives the contractor enough time to get hold of the drawings, but still enough time to contemplate what comes up in the pre-bid meeting.
Yeah, their bids are due the 1st, and we're giving them to them on the 15th.
April 15th. So what's a week after the 15th?
The 22nd.
22nd?
Yeah. That gives them a week to look at the drawings, and then any questions they have, it gives us a week, if need be, to get answers to them, and then it still gives them 3 days to get our answers and put it into the record. So let's plan a pre-bid meeting on the 22nd.
And that fits your schedule?
That's what day of the week is that?
22nd is
Do
a
you
week.
think we need just a little bit more time there?
We don't have a whole lot of time.
I mean, for the
Time.
pre-bid meeting, he said about halfway.
Yeah,
I think we should add just a couple days onto that.
I would
Then
rather
to look at
have...
drawings?
If-
That shortens
if-
the time they have to get the bid prepared.
Yeah, if there's any changes, I would rather have the time after the
Yeah.
meeting to...
We're giving them a week before the pre-bid to look at the drawings, and a week after the pre-bid that we'll answer any questions they have and get answers back to them.
Okay.
Well, Wednesday doesn't seem to work it's probably not a good day for me either. I don't know if I have Effingham that day.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Tuesday or Thursday on either side of it would work better for me.
We'll do it on Tuesday instead.
Tuesday the 21st?
Yeah, I'd go for that. What time?
Is 9 o'clock here okay?
That work for you, Clyde? He'll be the one here that that'll open up for you.
What time was it? 9?
9 o'clock. My paper's back, Jim.
Oh, here you go.
questions?
Is that everything we needed?
Yeah, that gives me everything I need to get these ready for bid. I'll have those issued to you by the end of the week. I expect I can have it to you earlier. Yeah, I don't think there were any outstanding questions in there. If I have anything, Amanda, I'll direct it to you and Lyle.
Okay.
I think we mailed you 3 copies. Is there 3 copies of this?
He's got them.
Is that enough for the board to, or for you guys to look at?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you right now that when I reissue this set, nothing is going to change. The only thing that's going to change is the timestamp right here. So it can be used for a bidding set. But for your reviews, the content of these drawings are going to be exactly the same.
Do we want to update the date on it then?
Actually, yeah, I'll update the date.
We'll want the date to be the 14th.
The date will be the
Or,
out for bid date, April 15th.
yeah.
Date and stamp.
Okay. Yes, we really don't need to, well, I guess we need to vote to approve this so that the board can approve it.
And they can start work, as soon as they're awarded the bid, they can start their work.
Yes.
So we'll want them, and we'll reiterate that at the pre-bid meeting, that when you're awarded the job, you need to be done by August 31st. So, you know, you can come in and start doing your demolition. You need to get your boilers ordered and get shop drawings sent in and get the process started.
I think one thing that would help in that regard is that if you already have some information from the boiler manufacturers as to how much lead time is required,
That was one of the things we
that
asked.
would be
Did you
helpful
come
to
up with
emphasize that.
information on the boiler manufacturer?
Yeah, I took one boiler manufacturer out because they didn't have a local representation, and we added another one back in. So I think there's still 4 manufacturers in there.
Track them down here.
And we can contact them ahead of time, and they can give us lead times. So when at the pre-bid, we'll say the lead times on these are 4 to 6 weeks to get them ordered.
We have Wheel and Plain, Camus, and Raypack
We got 3, okay.
specified.
I think I took out
Lock
Lock
and
and
Bar.
Bar because I called them up and they didn't have anybody local that services them.
Well, I do. That won't work. Okay. Motion to approve?
And so moved.
Second? Yeah. Spending money, so
Are we approving?
we are approving it to go out for bid.
Per the specifications. And what else?
Charlie, what are we approving?
Dates.
Who made the motion?
And dates for these things, all the way up to pre-bid meeting, including pre-bid meeting.
Did you want to include the final meeting of August 31st as well?
So, basically, approving the project. Approving,
Yeah.
letting the bid for the
All right.
project.
Right.
I guess. We don't want to accidentally not include it.
That'd be kind of dangerous, wouldn't it?
And Adam, you were the second? Okay. Crow? Sure.
Yes.
Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Hasbargen?
Yes.
Aaron?
Okay. I guess we're done with that.
Real quick, would it be all right if I just confirm the timeline again to make sure I've got everything right? We will send you the drawings by this Friday, updated with the stamp, date, and the dates that we've talked about today in the specs. Those will be approved by your board on April 14th, then issued for bid the following day, April 15th. The bid date, or the pre-bid meeting, will be April 21st, is that what we're now?
9 p.m.
Will be April 21st at 9 a.m.
a.m., that's right.
And then the bids will be received May 1st at 4 p.m. After that, the bids will be opened that following Monday, presented to your board, and approved or declined by May 12th. And then at that point, we'll give the contractor the notice to proceed, and then the construction will continue from there. At which point, the construction needs to be finished by April 31st. August, sorry, I get Hayes mixed up. August 31st, and then everything needs to be completely finished, substantial completion, pay applications approved, processed by September 30th. Did I say anything wrong?
The pre-bid meeting's gonna be held in this room.
Yes.
Correct? You might include that.
I believe
People
I
wander
have-
around this building sometimes,
August
not
30th.
knowing where they're going.
Pre-bid meeting will be held at the Iroquois County Administration Building on 1001 East Grant Street in Watseka, Illinois. I'll mention that it's in the boardroom.
And then from here, you can walk, I mean, the boiler room's just,
And we'll set up a pre-construction meeting when we know who the contractor is. We'll set up a meeting with them. It'll be as soon as possible, but instead of picking a date now, it'll probably be best to coordinate with them.
And
Well, you have to be in office.
Yeah, make sure they're available.
right now, I've got the bids to your attention, Amanda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And they can, are they going to be faxed to you, or they need to be mailed to you in an envelope? Or hand delivered?
should be.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, they're sealed bids that go to the county clerk's office. Sorry.
So they have to be hand delivered or mailed?
They can be mailed or
They can
hand
be mailed
delivered
or-
by that date, but it needs to be sealed.
Sealed bid, because you're not going to open them up until the next month.
Right.
Right, so they don't go to me, I apologize.
New boiler's the easy part.
What's the hard part?
All this other stuff. Dates,
Clerical.
contractual stuff. Engineering is easy. For me. It's all this other stuff that I get all the dates right. So thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
If you think of something, let us know. You're still, your head's still spinning, right?
Well, I'm just
Yours are still moving.
thinking about the glycol part of the project, but that is totally separate from this because it,
Correct. All we're doing is running hot water to the heat exchanger that heats up the glycols, and so we're not breaking into the glycol part of it. We're only on the hot water side.
which means that we have to deal with the glycol separately. And that's why it's back on the agenda.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you. We've also brought back, we got some existing drawings from you. We scanned them into our system. We've got our PDFs, so I just made this CD with those PDFs on them for you. And your drawings are over there.
Yeah, those can go back. There's a shelf on the far wall there where we found those. So we're just returning the original drawings.
Clyde will take care of them.
Right. And then we got this for you, so they're all still in for future generations. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That was easy. County farm waterway issues. They are going to have to do some more surveying stuff. From what I was told, we'll probably won't actually do the work, it looks like, until this fall. One issue is, if we want cost sharing, it can't be done in the county's name. And because cost sharing comes from state, and they won't do it with another entity of government. But they said what they normally do in cases like this is they put it in the tenant's name, and the tenant actually gets the payment then for it. And I said, well, what if the tenant changes? He said they've had cases where the tenants changed a couple times in a couple years, and the tenant's name just changes on it, so the payment goes to whatever tenant there is, because it's being handled as a CRP payment, which is a... Adam, can you...
Well, they're listed as the operator on the farm, so a lot of times they do get it, but you gotta trust them to do the job.
You need to pay the bill.
Yeah, I mean, to pay the bill, yeah. Yeah.
Well, in order to get cost sharing, it's a CRP project.
Mhm.
Does everybody know what a CRP project
No,
is?
I don't know what that is.
I can't remember the acronym either.
Conservation Research Program.
It's Julia.
NRCS office.
ASA, FSA, NRCS.
It'd probably be the NRCS office. It's right there.
So,
What was the cost sharing? Did he have a?
he, until they actually get out there and survey it, he didn't know. He didn't give me any, so,
Have we expended cost money on this project so far?
no, no. My understanding is they'll do all the surveying and everything for no cost. It's just once the project of making the waterway or grassway,
Putting it in.
then there becomes the cost sharing. And I'm thinking he was saying there might be some spots where there may not be enough fall to make it a grass waterway, and that's why they've got to get it all surveyed and figured out.
Little earth moving.
I don't know. He was gonna let
Sounds
his
like a little
engineers
bit.
take care of it. So that's where that stands at this point. You know, we're just kind of, sounded like what he said was we'll probably get a crop off of it this year. It's going to take that long to get it processed through. When does the contract for the farm come up for bid? This year. So when do we? So when do we need to?
Yeah, but a new
do that?
contract won't go into effect till next March, right?
But it has to be completed by November, right?
Yeah, I think we bid it out last time in October.
Yeah.
Next couple months, next month after, we need to have a contract out.
Okay.
Why don't we put that in for next month? Okay?
Yeah, we don't want to wait till last minute.
No. Do we want to ask for copies of the contract next month so we can start looking at it? Or we could, that's something we could have in.
Who has the copies of the contract? You have
I
them?
think I have one at home, but I'd have to dig for it.
Okay.
Of course. Would it be extremely difficult for that to be emailed to? No problem.
Why don't we do that? If we get it emailed, if you don't have email, see Anita, and then we can actually have it in our hands before the next meeting.
Okay. And everybody will check their county email, right?
Oh.
I don't get my private one.
Yeah, I have all your other emails that you use.
I have never, ever Hillary, never, ever used it.
Okay, are there any other issues that haven't covered on the farm?
On that contract, did they ever change, I can't remember if we ever changed about putting municipal, or not municipal, but any type of byproduct on it, like.
That'll be something that we'll have to put into the next contract.
Because that, you'd have to get better on wording that.
Yeah.
Because every time they get around it, and that's the biggest complaint on that county farm from citizens.
Have we talked to Mr. Devine about how to word that?
He knows about it, I don't know if he does. We talked about it last year when they were putting it on. I don't know if he ever come up with any better wording.
Okay.
He read it one day,
Put on it.
read it.
They put a product from ADM on it, but it
There's
ruins
some material for the data sheet on it,
Yeah.
content.
But it ruins the pH of the soil, so therefore it needs more lime, which costs us money. It's a low nitrogen, so.
And what we were going to, I think the way we wanted, or it was discussed to word it, was anything put on was going to have to be approved by the county.
Yeah, that would help.
I'll call out the section so you can read it and figure out what you want to say.
bid higher than anybody else because he gets paid that stuff.
All right, anything else? All right, FSA update. Have they given final? No final yet. Okay. Discuss long distance.
Oh, you have a copy of an email from Steve Clary from AT&T from Friday. They can renew our long distance as it stands now for another 3 years, exactly the same terms as we have now, $600 a year minimum, which our annual estimate is $100 a month or $1,200, so it's way under what we typically run, and 4.3 cents a minute, which is what we're paying now. And I did tell him we do not want it rounded to the nearest minute, or, by minute, because that's the biggest issue you can have with run-ups on your long distance, that we want to the nearest 6 seconds. And he said that's fine. So they would write it the same way it is now, and just for 3 years. So it'd be from September 17th of this year, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Okay. So, if we want, we're ready, we can go ahead and approve this. And from what we've been told, it's the best deal out there. And it locks us in for 3 years. Unless you guys like doing this once a year.
I make a motion to approve.
Yeah, let's do it. That would, yeah. There's no conflict there. We're not having conflicting bids if it's only that amount of money, is it?
It's not a large enough amount of money
Yeah,
or anything
right.
that needs to go out for bid.
No.
Good, then let's do it.
You said that was the best deal.
Yeah, we've had outside consultants look at it that can't believe we get such good rates.
Great.
You have a motion in a second.
Yes. So, I guess we'll call.
Crow?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes?
Zumwalt?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Halfbargen?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes. Maintenance supervisor report. Who wants to start? Okay.
We had Eli call that was requested to try to get rid of. I was able to get a hold of the company, Bradley Turnkey Environmental. They picked that up last week. There's no charge to pick that up, so it's comfort related.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
Is that the stuff
they
that's
take
been
it back.
sitting out around here for years?
Yes.
Good job.
They take it back and check it out. They sell it off, they recycle it. They get their money for it that way. That's all. It's just recycled. We had a fire extinguisher inspection that was done. We had half a dozen or so fire extinguisher checks, either recharged or rebuilt. Found a gallon of paint that matched the doors that drove into the building. With some doors down there, it's pretty sad. So we got doors rebuilding stuff. We had a fire alarm, head start, burn bag, popcorn in the microwave. Set off the fire alarm, so it all worked the way it was supposed to, so that went good. We also had a leak in the toilet down there that I got repaired. Weber Plumbing was here, took a look at the heat pump project, just a quick look. That hallway is pretty much going to have to be shut down in that area when they're here. So their plan is to come in after hours or as soon like at maybe 4 o'clock and get set up. Because I have to take the ceiling completely apart down there to get that one out and the other one in. They figured they'd be here probably 4 or 5 hours and they'd be able to get things sealed back up. And then the next day, they'd come back and make all the connections. They can move everything off of the lab from that. And they'd be able to get into the clerk's office if need be, because we can't do the emergency election. to turn the boiler off during the daytime, and just kind of go away during the day, and turn it back on in the evenings. Now that the evenings are warmer, it's actually been off since Mondays. I'm sorry, since Wednesday. The boiler's actually been turned off. And the old heating system issue, we want to talk about that now.
Well, it's the next thing, yeah, it's the next thing on the list, so.
I went through, and for curiosity purposes, tried to chase down some piping for our heating and cooling. What I found is that the old heating system for the east end of the building is still all intact. It's not being used for heat. But I researched that there's several different sizes of pipe varying from 3/4 to 4 inch. And just kind of guessing off of the old blueprint, looks like there's about 1,000 feet of pipe up there that we are still actually circulating hot water through for no need. So we've got 2 pumps running, circulating that 24/7. We're heating and cooling the fluid. Well, we may not be heating, not cooling. We're heating fluid in that system to do nothing and pumping it all the way to the other end. And looking up pipe sizes, we came up with over 200 gallons of fluid that's in that. And if we go into the glycol deal, common mixture there is probably like a 50-50, which means we've got over 100 gallons of glycol in there that we don't need. So if we were to do the glycol product or change, obviously that's a product that we wouldn't have to pay for. Just guessing that saying $20 a gallon, and I'm sure it's higher than that, but you're talking over a couple $1,000 in glycol costs that we would save when we make the glycol change. Plus the circulation of that, we got 2 motors running 24/7 circulating that, and we know the cost of heating that fluid all the time. So it'd be over a couple $1,000 savings up front. I don't know what the long term would be when you figure the motors and the heating of it, but it's probably fairly substantial.
Any thoughts?
It appears that that could be eliminated fairly easily in the boiler room. I'm not an engineer, that's something we would need those guys to take a look at, put their stamp of approval on it, but it looks like it's something that it's just a matter of cutting a few pipes and tying a couple of them back together. I would think that the cost of the glycol savings would pretty much be pretty close to that cost of that work. There again, I can't say that for sure, but it'd be a big part of it. There are 2 heaters that are on that system that have thermostats on them that are set at 50 degrees. And what that does is that heats the area above the ceiling where the storeroom and such is at. Well, over the FSA is the one area. The radiant heat coming through the ceiling is going to do more than keep that at 50 degrees for sure. There's no insulation between the ceiling and that upstairs area. If that one needed to be, it could be tied into what I'm going to call the new system, which runs all the heat pumps right now pretty easy because it's only about 2 feet away to tie into those pipes, because those pipes do run all the way to the other end to take care of all the heat pumps at that end.
And it's already got valves there that you can be tied into.
Yeah, there's a shut-off valve on the supply and the return within a couple of feet of that heat.
So if we eliminate the old system and we end up needing that heater, it's already set up to just run a couple pipes to it and it will run. But
So you'd like to proceed to ask the engineers if they think this is viable?
I don't know if we need an engineer or just have some contractors come in and bid it, or...
I think most of the contractors can take a look at it and tell you yes or no.
Well, how big a project do you think it is, money-wise? I mean, is it
Well,
5,000, 10,000, 50,000? What are
That
we
we don't
talking
know.
about?
You know, you're talking about cutting 4-inch steel pipe and welding it back together. I'm guessing 20 to 30 feet of piping and elbows from what we looked at.
You'd have to make 4 cuts, I think on a 4-inch pipe, and then 2 welds. And run 2 of those cuts back in so that the fluid still runs through the heat exchanger. Because what they're doing now, the way it's set up now, it appears that there's a circulation pump that's actually sucking the fluid out of the old system that runs through the heat exchanger and pumping it into the new system. So the heat exchanger, in essence, would be heating the fluid in the old system, and the old system is heating the fluid in the new system, which is not really very efficient either. And what we would end up doing is taking the new system, present system, and just running that through the heat exchanger and eliminating all the old piping. Leave the piping, I should say, eliminate the piping, but eliminating the connection to the whole piping.
It's been that way for how many years? Since it was built? Since it was built
Ever
itself?
since the heat pump system was put in.
Yes.
I'd suggest that we look at this as a possibility of an extra for the contractor that's awarded the boiler work, and talk to them at the time that they begin their work to get an idea of what the cost would be.
Could we have a figure in mind to go ahead if it's under that?
No, I think.
Well,
I mean,
one
Connie
issue
doesn't-
we're going to have is
Mhm.
this is going to be the glycol, which is circulated for cooling also, correct?
Correct.
So we have a little bit of a window now and in the fall. And when we've tried doing the glycol in the fall, all the contractors say, we don't want to do it now because we don't want you to be without heat. And if we're without cooling, there'll be a lot of angry people.
Okay, but the contract is going to be awarded in May 15th or thereabouts. Surely there'll be some times between that and the middle of June when that could be done.
Well, we'll be in air conditioning season by then, undoubtedly, won't we?
There'll be days when it'll be cool enough that their work could be done.
Well, I mentioned this to the engineers, and they said that it can't be done as part of the other project, and so we may not want to bid it as part of that project, because that could get, if they start auditing things, I would hate to see them deny us, because even though monies are coming from a separate place, it probably needs to be bid separately because of that.
Well, I think we need to get some additional information, like Clyde, suggested, that we might have somebody look at it and see, unless that's already been done.
No other contractor has looked at it as of yet. And if that's what we want to do and have a scope of work ready for next month to put bids out, we can do that. All I would need is a motion.
I move that we get additional information, just get a,
A scope
like
of work
we've done,
together.
yeah, scope of work to be done.
Well, then that'll delay it 1 year.
What do you want to do?
I've already suggested what I would like to do.
I don't think you're going to have any cool days when you're not using that air
Yes,
conditioner.
Kyle.
Well, if you get more additional information, you're not going to be able to do nothing until the middle of May then.
You're wanting to go bid it out in May? Is that what you just said?
Well, that's what we were kind of thinking, why.
You're gonna bid it out in May, so you won't have bids till June? You won't
Okay.
approve a bid bill till the middle of June, I know you're in.
And
air conditioning.
Some point. Yeah, that's why it's never been done.
Okay? We could
Don't care.
put it out for bids now with what we know, with the stipulation that all bidders are responsible for making sure that the piping will work. If somebody comes in and says, we'll do this, but it's not going to work, then, if they look at the system and we tell them this is what we're thinking, and they say, well, we can do that for you, but it's not going to work, well, then we need to have wording in there that it's on them, that it's a workable project.
I think we need to find out what we're doing first, before we go throwing bids out there.
Okay?
And I agree with Kyle, maybe somebody will have to bring a fan to work someday. It's, bite the bullet and get it, I've been watching glycol issues and other issues fly through here for years that still aren't resolved.
I think you're gonna have to find out if, you got a lot of these intakes, all these heat pumps take the air above the ceiling and bring it in. If you eliminate piping and heating, you're taking 50, 60 degree air, and now you got 20, 30 degree air. These heat pumps are gonna be working a lot harder, and they're dropping like flies now. So I think you need to have somebody figure out, do we have to have that heated up there to save these heat pumps?
Now, this only goes,
If we do have to have it heated, that's where we go back to the fact that that heater is an easy tie-in into the system that we have now. I haven't been here that long, but during the winter, I was up there a couple of times, and it's a lot warmer than 50 degrees up there, and that's what that thermostat is. That's what I'm saying. If we got it at, say, 60 or 70 degrees, that's making it easier for these heat pumps to generate the heat that's needed. If we could drop it down to 20 degrees, these heat pumps are going to be working harder, and they're already dropping like flies now. So I think we need somebody to study this before we start cutting pipe. Oh, I'm sorry.
The way I thought you were explaining it, we could heat that area like we are now, right?
Correct.
But we just had to tie in these other pipes. But it's a shorter distance, obviously tying in there than it is going to where they are originally run right now. That's where the savings would come in, right?
Correct. The heaters that are currently up there could be tied into the new system, but we're only going to be running 10 feet versus almost 1,000. And it would only be 3/4 inch pipe versus some places it's 4 inch, some places 2 inch, some places 2.5 inch.
cold air return area up there, that's basically, we're taking the heated air from here and recirculating it. So as long as this temperature here stays the same, that shouldn't change too much, if at all.
And also, the cold air return is not ducted, it's just that
Right.
it's a plenum return, so there's these return grills that we have in the ceilings are just open to the ceiling cavity.
So the air from here is just going up
Yes, correct.
and being recirculated through the heat pump. I mean, from what I looked at it, it looks like it should be fine. And Clyde studied the blueprints as to how it's laid out. He followed all the pipes. We have two motions out there, and neither one's been seconded.
What
What was the
motion?
first motion?
Yeah.
It was just a suggestion. You didn't make a motion.
You didn't actually make a motion?
No, but I still think from everything up to what he said, it makes the most sense to talk to the contractor that we award the boiler work to. if it's a matter of a few $1,000s, we don't have to go out for bids on that. And as far as paying them goes, it can be paid separate so that it doesn't interfere with the payments for the boiler work.
Second invoices, separate invoices,
Right.
separate.
I mean, and if it isn't, and if the contractor doesn't think it's going to work, or there isn't whatever, I mean, then it doesn't
we
have
don't
to
do
be
it.
done. But
Well, and I don't
nobody
think-
likes that, that's fine.
I don't disagree with that. I'm fine with having those, Penniman look at it.
No, I'm not talking about Henneman, I'm talking about the contractor
Oh,
that's
that we
awarded the
award
work.
the bid to.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, but the bottom line is you're gonna be in air conditioning season, and I'm okay with that,
You're
but,
going to be in air conditioning season unless you give somebody the okay today
Yeah.
to do the work.
Right.
well, I'm
You
not
can't get around it.
disagreeing with you.
Okay, then if you don't do that, then you're putting it off for a whole year. So if you want to get it done, now's the time to do it.
I wanna do it now.
Okay, there's going to be,
Thank you.
I've been on the earth a little longer than you have, Donna, but I'm not going to get into that part of it. But there's going to be days between the middle of May and the middle of June when this work can be done. We have warm days and we have cold days. And I'm
Well,
sure it can be
I think
handled without creating a
Anita.
major
Issue
problem.
was
Can you come here a second? and help
whether
me?
we're just gonna throw it out there for bid today and say, use the wording,
we
or
didn't
if
say
we're gonna
anything
get
about
more
that.
We don't have to
information.
throw it out for bid, because it's going to be, Clyde says it's going to be a few $1,000s.
We can,
Wow.
we can just, I understand that. I
We don't have to
understand
go
that.
out for bid.
Okay, $20,000 of the seats, repairs and maintenance is $27,000 for regular ongoing, $20,000 for glycol.
Okay.
That's what's in there.
Okay, so what's in the budget right now for the glycol project is $20,000.
We retained that because we reduced something else and,
Well, it was in the budget,
right.
and so that's what's budgeted to do this project. Seems to me originally, it was thought that it might take $16,000 to do it, and they put a little extra just in case. So,
That's replacing the glycol.
right.
Clyde's just saying we won't have to spend all that if we won't have
Right.
to use as much glycol.
So, I guess we have money in the budget that should do the project. All we have to do is say whether we're going to put it out for bids or wait.
We don't have to put it out for bids.
Okay, that's true, we don't. It's under 20,000.
Now, that includes not just this section that he's talking about now, but don't we have to, when we get the new boiler in, aren't we getting new glycol?
No,
No, we don't have to do that.
no. That's what we were anticipating originally, that's why it was taken off the agenda. But the way the boiler feeds into a heat exchanger, and then the glycol is circulated through that heat exchanger, but the two don't mix. It's pipes going through a tank.
So our current glycol is adequate.
No, our current glycol has to be changed, but when they do the boiler, the way it's piped, it will not be drained out. It does not have to be drained out to do the pipe, to do the boiler.
But it would have to be drained to do the other project.
To do, yes, and that's why we would do it when we do the glycol. You got a tank that has, line comes in, line goes out, and the water is circulated. And then you have the boiler, line comes in, circulates through, and goes back out. So they do not mix the two. And so that's why it doesn't get covered under the boiler project grant, because the glycol doesn't have to be drained for that. Now, Clyde, do you remember good enough that you could draw them a diagram of what needs to be done? Or would it be easier to go down there and show them? If you can remember how it is, it's probably going to be easier to visualize a picture here. Do you want to run down and look at it?
Yeah, let me run down and look it out.
and we'll have the other report.
Sounds good.
Okay. And what do you have for us?
The computer situation in the tool shed, Jason Barrickman's going to have a collection at Big R on May 2nd, so that kind of eliminated our problem.
Okay.
So anything in the tool shed, Derek said he'd take over there to the collection. I should have some facts and figures on the lighting grant for the outside lighting by next month. You guys can determine if you're going to go with it or not.
Are there any timelines on that grant?
June.
We have to know, or it has to be completed, or?
No, it don't have to be completed.
Okay.
I still want to get trained down here to tweak that chiller over there at the courthouse and jail. I wanted to do it last year, but didn't have enough time, so I still want to do that. Something you guys need to keep in mind, and you probably know more about it, Lyle, than I do, but this R22, that's the Freon that's in everything we got here, from the courthouse to this building, is going to be eliminated in about 4 years. And the production of this R22 Freon is going to be cut back dramatically every year. So in the future, I think, what is it, RB10 that's being replaced by...
They've got a drop in, yeah.
Yeah, so like future heat pumps and stuff, we need to decide, start making adjustments on this Freon, because
I would
anything that we're going to get is going to be very expensive now anyway. So,
I would think that any new ones that are going in are probably 410 units.
yeah.
So
I don't know if there's going to be a conversion from the R22, I don't know.
no, that's the nice thing about, they're getting rid of the R22, but they have a drop-in where you just have to get the R22 out. You don't have to change the oils or anything, and you put the other in. And the specifications as to everything are close to R22, not exact, but they work. So that,
So it is going to be adaptable. So
yeah, the drop-ins should work fine, and yeah, they are considerably cheaper than what the 22s.
The asbestos was removed from the jail last week, uneventful. That was good. And we're going to start either Wednesday night or Thursday night at midnight, putting shut-offs in the basement, in the jail and the courthouse. So that way all the inmates are in bed and everybody will be less hassle shutting the water off at midnight. So that's when we're going to be doing it, is at midnight, either Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. Any news on the generator yet?
No.
They're just waiting for it to be made, probably?
I'm thinking second or third week it should be delivered. I think it was 6 to 9 weeks out or something when we ordered it.
Okay.
My calculations either next week or the following week.
And then you'll just schedule that whenever's convenient. Okay. Any questions for him? Okay, Clyde, you're back up.
Engineering 101, I guess.
Yeah. Are you going to go
Yeah,
on
let's
that?
use
Okay.
this because, like Lyle said, this is the one for the boiler, so that's pretty much irrelevant. Let's say this is the old system. This is out. This one's back in. Okay, at some point here, you've got a pump that's circulating this going out to the other end of the building, and then it returns back here. All right, now, call that the old system. Now, the new system, the one that we're on now with the heat pumps, it's a separate system from this. It does have a tie-in, but it's a separate system. So we've got circulation pump down here, going out this way, coming back here. These lines go both directions, to both ends of the building, this being this end of the building. So it tees off, goes back this way. This one does the same thing, comes out, heads this way, goes back that way. At some point, these lines pretty much come pretty close together. One of them is within probably a foot. The other one is probably within, I'm going to say, 5 feet of this one. So what would happen is basically the going out one would make a cut here, tie this one into there. The return one, we'd make a cut here and here and tie this one into here. That eliminates all this pipe down at the other end. Down here is where the heater is. When we get down to that other end upstairs, that's where that convector heater is only within a couple of feet of the new system that's going to run all the way down there anyway. All the work can actually be done in the boiler room. And the longest section of pipe would be maybe 2 of them, like I say, at 5 feet. The other section is probably only a couple feet. And they run right next to each other. The air conditioning issue, I guess, I would bet is probably why it wasn't done before when the heat pump system was put in. What that supplies at the other end is the convector heaters that are up in the attic, that when that ceiling would have been open, when it would have been all shop area.
How long do you think it would take to do that work? 1 day, 2 days?
I would think they could have it done with, 2-3 days probably.
Because they'll have to drain the glycol, that'll take them a while to get that all out.
Which needs to be done anyway.
Right.
I think at the beginning of the conversation, as I understand it, and I think it needs to be done, and I'm all for it, and clearly I haven't been on the earth as long as you, John. However, the main question at the beginning was, will it work? So, I'm all for, somebody has to bring a fan, if it's hot, get it done. The bottom line question is, will it work? Now, who's going to answer that question?
Didn't we say the contractor be asked that question
Well-
first? Will it work? And if he says no, we don't do it.
No, we didn't agree on that, Charlie. No, that question hasn't been answered.
Yeah, it was. I heard it.
It was asked, wasn't answered.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I assumed the answer would be that. What else would it be?
One way that you could probably make it work would be to put valves in, wouldn't it? So that you could control.
That was the thought I had. Instead of cutting the pipe off, put some valves in so that if it didn't work, you just open the valve back up and...
Add glycol, then you'd have to add glycol, right? If you open it up and have more pipe.
Yeah, then they would have to add more glycol and...
That's part of the benefit, was to cut down on the glycol.
You know, Lyle said that he looked at it with me too. I looked at it, I showed it to Lyle. I mean, we're both pretty confident that it should work. I would say we're both probably 95%.
Probably, yeah.
I think if you brought a contractor in there that's, been doing it for long enough and they're worth their salt, they're going to be able to look at it and say, yes, that's true or not true, one or the other.
I'd make a motion to do what he just said and what Lyle agrees to.
Okay. Now, are we putting it out for bid, or are we just going to contract a couple, or
No.
contact a couple contractors and ask them, since we don't...
If it's not the amount, we don't need to put it out for bid.
Right.
Then we can get it done in a timely
And I'm okay
fashion.
with whomever gets the bid,
That would be the most, the one that got the other bid would probably be the one that would do this.
Got all this equipment here.
Yeah. It only makes sense, that's fine with me.
If it's...
And the one that's doing the boiler project, he's going to look at it and say, well, I can adjust my price here because I'm going to be doing this work.
Yeah.
Well, if the other...
Yeah, it'd be two separate projects.
It has to be two separate projects. If we go ahead with this, we could actually have somebody looking at this tomorrow and have it done before the boiler project begins.
Right, I agree.
That might be done before the hot weather.
And you don't have to wait for either hot or cold weather to get it done, just get it done now when it's about right.
And the boiler hasn't been running, I mean, yes, you're recirculating the water, but obviously the building is maintaining a pretty good temperature right now, so it would be a good time to get it done.
Yeah, and I don't know if the recirculation even has to be done. I mean, the water temp on that recirculation line right now is lower than what the building temp is anyway.
Well, once we drain the glycol, all the heat pumps will have to be shut down.
Now you've confused me. Are you talking about getting someone right now, a contractor, without waiting for the bid and using them? Or are we talking about
Well,
using
are we
them
going-
when we issue the bid? Which are you promoting there, Lon?
Well, we won't know who gets the bid on the boiler
Exactly.
project until later.
Right, till May.
But we could contact anywhere from 2 to 10 contractors if we want to, and just have them come look it over and give us a price. And
Do it right now.
Okay. Then I withdraw that motion. So we're not going to get it further information. We're going to ask the contractors, will it work?
we'll have them
We're
look
just
it
gonna hire
over
somebody.
and that's what's out there. We just need a motion as to what we want to do from somebody.
I make a motion to get a contractor if they can here and give us a price on it and get it done as soon as possible.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Let's go.
Can we have a vote?
We're just gonna have one contractor give us a price?
We'll get more than one, if we can get more than one to give us a bid, or a price. I guess it technically isn't a bid.
Then we're gonna have a meeting to approve it?
No. It's the lowest one.
It's in the budget, so Clyde can actually approve it because it's in his budget.
Spend the money.
I'm sure he will discuss it with some board member, whether it be Kyle or whoever. Yes.
I think, yeah, and if we move forward that way, we get the contractors to come in and take a look. I mean, we bring in a contractor at the beginning who, you know, we're confident with what their knowledge and their skills and everything are. If he says right off the bat it's not going to work, then obviously there's no reason to call any of the contractors. But, you know, take one contractor first, not necessarily saying that that's the one that's going to do the work, but
Right.
at least he can confirm or deny the fact that it would work. And then if he says, oh yeah, you can do that, then I would pursue calling other contractors in to get more prices.
Okay. To clarify, if the contractor comes in and does, well, it's in his budget, but if the contractor comes in and says it doesn't work, he's still going to go ahead and get the glycol done because it has to be done. So if the repiping will work, that will be included as part of the project. If it will not work, then he will go ahead and do the glycol. Are we agreed on that? So by this time next month, you will have a report for us saying how great it went and it's all done.
Okay.
And we won't have to deal with glycol for several years. Okay, so.
That's, what you said is fine, but that's not what the motion was for, is it?
Oh.
Do you want to clarify the
Can we
motion, or?
I didn't make the motion.
I'll make a motion to bring in a contractor if he says it'll work to do it. And if he says it won't work, then he'll just do the
As
glycol.
long as it's within Clyde's budget.
It has to be in the budget.
Okay.
Crow?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Halfbargen?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes. improvement projects, parking lot resurfacing, administration building. Did we let that for bid? What did we do with that last month?
My notes from last month say, per Larry, do parking lots, recoat in the fall. That's the only notes I have on that.
Okay. That's when they'll probably do it, but we can still,
Weren't we kind of off,
we can put it for bid and then they can schedule it.
weren't we kind of discussing some about what the perimeters were? By like Joel Moore saying what we need and what we don't?
Yeah. He had given us some specs on what it was, and it had certain numbers for the coding. Okay, yes.
I thought we decided to go ahead and put that out for bid. What did the minutes say?
So you just said,
I don't know if I have my minutes from then.
We chewed that up for a long time.
I thought we were going to put it for bid too, knowing that it probably wouldn't get done until the fall,
Right.
but then it would be off of our
things to do
Agenda.
list.
And we,
because, you know, putting it out for bid now, we're already June.
Mhm.
So then by the time they schedule it, we are into the fall.
We gotta get our bids put together. Or do we have it put together? We don't, do we?
I haven't received anything to,
I thought we were going to refer to the bid that we did.
Or they didn't do a bid.
they didn't do a bid.
They just hired someone.
Okay.
So,
I think we need to look at the minutes because we're all a little cloudy. I'll go get a set. I'll go get a set.
Committee discussed the capital improvement project, beginning with the parking lot resurfacing at the administrative center. The budget is $28,000 project. It was moved by Anna Zumwalt, seconded by Donna Crowe to get the specifications written up for the parking lot resurfacing at the administrative building, put it out for bid. Motion carried by a voice vote.
okay. So, it's already been approved to put it out for bid. So we'll do that after the meeting. Okay.
And we'll act on the bids the next meeting then, or?
We should be able to, yes. Because we should, well, we'll get it all written up, and then after the board meeting, we'll put it out for bid, which should give enough time to get it back for our next meeting.
We have the specifications written up?
We have what Joel sent us.
Okay, my concern with that, and still is a big concern, is the amount of material that's going to be put on, the thickness of it.
Well, we can ask Joel if there is,
There is a,
I mean, I can take a hand spray or a trailer, whatever, and I can drive through the parking lot at 60 miles an hour, and I can drive through at 6 miles an hour, and I guarantee you'll get a different amount of material on there.
right.
county cops will like to see you do that.
Well, we can ask Joel if there's anything
Can we all witness
on that.
this?
But I think that's a very important thing that needs to be included in our specification.
So I said the first time.
Mike?
out.
You've got it on there as far as resurfacing the parking lot.
That includes restriping.
That includes the striping, okay. Now, then, a lot of times, the way I've seen them do that, rather than just spray, a lot of times they just come in, back the truck up, dump a puddle, and then they just start taking brooms and brooming that puddle toward the other end. At that point, you know,
I mean,
you've
it's
got-
not that I don't expect they'll do a decent job, but there are fly-by-night people that do these kind of things. And I just think it's important that we at least have something.
Should they ask you to move your Jaguar while they're doing it, or
Yeah.
go right ahead?
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
As long as my EW
So,
is not.
we'll get all the specs together. Kyle had it on his phone, we've already found it.
Supposed to be bid, right?
Yes, it was supposed to be sent out. So,
Warn me. Or tell me.
so
Didn't say
we-
when it was gonna be sent out, it said the specs have to be prepared. That hasn't been done yet.
we'll get it done. Okay. Roof project. I was talking with Langlois today. From what they found with the core samples at the jail, they, with what was put on that roof before, well, first, definitely they think the jail needs done. When you pull the old material up, they are pretty sure it's going to ruin the tapered foam that gives the slope to it, so that would have to be replaced also. So that's going to add cost to that project. Here, and he was going to be in the area either this afternoon or tomorrow. He was going to look at it again to double check, because when he looked at it before, there was snow on this roof yet. But from what he saw, the roof itself may need some minor repairs, but can still last. He was thinking maybe at least another 3 years. So we're at a point where we know the jail roof has to be done. We can go ahead and bid that. One thing he did say on the jail roof is the entryway on the, I assume it's the east side, he said it's the back side, that it looked to him like there might be some damage to some of the wood, and a carpenter would have to be hired to do that part. They just do the roof. So that would be something we would have to figure when we're putting the bid out.
Did he give you were those the results of the core samples?
Yes.
So how far up here had the water spread out?
Up here, from what they could tell from the core samples, we're okay yet.
There's no water under it?
Not that they found, is my understanding. Now, they're supposed to, if they get anything, they're supposed to fax stuff to Amanda. So if something changes on that, when he comes and looks at it, but his suggestion, well, I guess he was at the point where he thinks with a little bit of maintenance, it can survive at least another 3 years. The drains, for insurance purposes, still have to be done. He said there's a cost savings if you do the drains at the same time as the rest of the roof, which there would be, because you're not doing double work on it. So the question is, on this part, do we get bids to re-roof? Do we get bids just to do the drains? Do we get bids to do the lower part where the wind damage was and have maintenance done on the upper part? Those are the alternatives that I can think of. If you've got others,
If we're gonna make a good decision, we need to do all of the above, don't we?
well, if we do the roof here, the drains will get done at the same time. We're not sure we have budget enough to do all of it.
That's what I'm saying, we need numbers in order to decide what we can do to compare with the budget and so forth.
And so do we let it for bids, see what bids come back, and then decide and have them bid the low or separate, so that we can say, okay, all we have is money for this.
Anytime we send a bid out, we reserve the right to accept the
Right.
bids or not.
Right. So, you know, if you want, we can go ahead and put it out for bids, with the lower being one project and the upper being another project here. And that way, we can approve both, or decline both, or approve one and decline the other.
If you also get a separate price for doing the drains then too. Just the drains.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know any other way to do it. If somebody else has a thought.
Anybody else got thoughts? I mean, we need to move forward with something. The drains have to be done, or the insurance isn't going to cover damage, and we don't want to be paying for damage. So, thoughts, motions?
John, I like what you said. Why don't you put it in one motion?
Okay, I'd make a motion that we get bids for doing the lower part of the roof, the entire roof, and then another one for just doing the drains. We'd be getting 3 separate bids. Is that correct? That's what you're saying?
Or do we want the lower part and the upper part as 2 separate, and then the whole thing
I think that's where you want to go.
as one? So that'd be 1, 2, 3, and then the drains would be 4 then.
Okay, that's fine. I don't, if somebody's gonna be putting those numbers together, I don't think it should be that hard to,
Yeah.
you know, figure those options out.
And it was his feeling that on this part, it's a different material, and he thought that it could be stripped off without damaging the sloped foam. So, you know, this project hopefully will be cheaper per square foot than the jail project.
Yeah, we need to get bids on the jail project too, so we really need 5 bids.
Right.
Okay, that's my motion, 5.
And I second it.
So you're including the jail in that motion? Okay.
We had people in here talk to us. We never decided, are we just going to ask for bids for blown-on roofs and rubber roofs, or are we going to just, we
They've
never
never
did decide
gotten-
on a material?
They never got back with me on the spray foam. I did talk to them. They said they were working on it and that they should have it shortly, and that's been almost a month ago.
That's Slagle and the other guy
Yeah.
from Fairbury?
So I don't know if they forgot about it or if they decided they just don't want to do
Probably
it.
got busy.
Yeah.
And did you talk to Larry Mahoney anymore about the jail roof, or get input from him about the pitch issue? Is that a dead issue?
The pitch, what was his thoughts on that? I don't recall.
You were talking to him, you were
Well-
contacting him.
Issue.
Okay, Larry Mahoney, okay. Apparently he hasn't gotten back with anybody, so,
So no decision is a decision, so it sounds to me like replace rubber roofs.
yeah. Because when I talked to Langlois, that was one of the things they were waiting on, was for him to get back with them on something, and so rather than going through him, I guess we'll just do it ourselves, because we can't wait for people to get back with us.
He's not the only person that does that kind of work though, is it?
He's the only one whose name we were given, and actually Langlois has worked with them, and he works with them, and he wasn't getting back with them. So,
Now, the concept of spray on roofs is a great thing because of the shortcomings of the rubber roof. But whether that roof system is going to do the job is another question.
right, and there again, if they don't get back with us,
There's got to be more than one person doing something like
the
that.
spray on roof,
Yeah.
I have looked into it before, and there are others that do spray foam, but it's all for interior walls. So in this service area, I don't know that there's anybody else that would cover this area.
Well, the bid will be open to anybody
Right.
anyway, so.
Yeah, if they want to bid on it, you know, we can just word it so that it's open. And if they decide to bid on it, then that's fine. We can look at it. We'll want to know what kind of warranty and, you know, because the rubber roof will have to be recoated in 10, or the foam roof has to be recoated in 10 years.
When they recoat that 10 years, then the warranty is extended again for another 10 years?
It's the coating that they're warrantying. So, yeah.
And
I
that
would
was
assume that it,
between a quarter and a third of a percent for maintenance on the spray-on roof every 8 to 10 years to maintain it. I think were their figures on the cost of maintenance.
okay, we have a motion to get the bids. We will include the spray foam as an option on the bids. As far as the rubber roof materials, there's a dark one and a white one. Langlois said both of them are comparable as far as longevity and quality and everything. We're in an area where it could go either way. For energy purposes, if you go further south, you put the white, you go further north, you put the black. We're in the middle. It's going to be about the same whichever way you go.
That was going to be my question. What did he say about that? Because, you know, black would be hotter than white. White would reflect the heat. Black tends to absorb it. He said either way in this area. Huh?
Right, because our heating and cooling seasons are fairly equally split. He didn't think it would make that much difference.
We can decide that part later, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you would like me to contact them with a spray-on roof, I would do that for you. If you're too busy to call them back, they'll give me their number and I'll call them.
If you want to, you can. That's fine. We need a vote. We need to vote on it.
Crow?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Hasbargen?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes. Okay. I think we've already covered the jail generator and water lines, right? We are on to claims. Yes.
Please approve the claim.
Got a question first. Garage door opener enhancement for $1,600. What kind of garage door opener is that?
Commercial. For the jail garage door.
Shouldn't we get a second to the motion before we have discussion?
Yeah, I guess we should have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Okay, now, any other discussion?
That's for a commercial garage door opener? What's it for a really 10-foot door, 12-foot door, what?
16.
16 big doors. Okay.
Why did Glady came down and serviced the boiler? Was that just like the spring checkup or something?
That was when I was off. Larry called him when there was an alarm in there on the electric alarm control system. They come in and looked at that, and then at the same time, they adjusted the temperature on the boiler because we were getting a reset that kept kicking out for ambient temp, and so he adjusted the temperature on the boiler. He turned it down by like 20 to 25 degrees to remove that fault, keeping out the boiler all the time. It was Larry called me while I was gone, because it was happening before I left also. And I was coming in a couple mornings a week having to push that reset, so they were gonna have to be called anyway.
Soon we won't have all these little issues, hopefully, right?
Right. Yeah.
I have another question. This equality bill, we had to have a water softener repaired in 911. Now I see, just cancel that question, I get it. Equality? Okay. I see it's a repair. I thought it was one of our water cooler, got it. I figured it out on my own.
What it was, Don, was a cracked tank. We had 2 brine tanks, one of them was cracked.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the claims?
And did you check on the length of the lawn contract?
It's 3 years.
That's what.
2 years left.
Crow,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Hasbargen,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes. Any old business? Any new business?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?